Professional underground thunder bounce when I stomp the ground. Like a million elephants, a silverback orangutan. You can't stop a train. Who wants some? Don't come unprepared. I'll be there, but when I leave there, better be a household name. Weatherman telling us it ain't gon' rain. So now we sitting in a drop top soaking wet. In a silk suit trying not to sweat. Hit somersaults without the net. But this be the year that we won't forget. 1999. Anything goes. Be what you wanna be. Long as you know consequences are given for living the fences. Too hot to jump in jail. Too low to dig, I might just touch hell. Hot, get a life, now they on sale. Then I might catch you a spell. Look at what came in the mail. I'm scaling some arm and hammer. So go grill and a baby mama. Black hair lacking a back of peppers. Stack of questions with no answers. Cure for cancer, cure for AIDS. Make it wanna stay on tour for days. Get back home, things are wrong. When not really, it was bad all along. Before you left ass up to a ball of power. Thoughts at 1,000 miles per hour. Hello, ghetto, let your brain breathe. Believe there's always more. Don't pull the thing out unless you can bang. Yeah, don't leave it bang unless you plan to hit all day.
Of the Fantasy GM podcast. I am one of the hosts, Manny, the M in GM.
And I'm your illustrious co-host, Grant Cologne, the big G in GM.
And we're also joined today by another favorite brother of mine, Lionel, who's kind of the Swiss Army knife of the crew. Lionel, can you give the audience a warm welcome?
How y'all doing out there? Glad to be here and talk a little shit.
Guys, today's show is jam-packed. First, we will discuss the rash of injuries around the league during week 2 of the NFL, including another devastating injury to Saquon Barkley. Next, we will dive into NFL action and highlight some of the marquee games in the slate, including the insanity that was Dallas-Atlanta, as well as some of the booms and busts of the week. Then, in this week's installment of the Night's Watch, we will break down the performances of some of the swords in the darkness, the mighty shields that guard the football realms of men. I'm, of course, referring to the black quarterbacks of the NFL. And finally, we're going to highlight and discuss the shenanigans of the infamous league, the podcast's official league of record. This week, we're joined by fellow league GM Chris, whose team Climax is 2-0, despite some controversial decisions in roster construction. So, in the infamous words of Outkast, don't pull that thing out unless you're ready to bang. On behalf of my brothers, we hope you enjoyed the show. Guys, week 2 was, I guess, just overloaded with injuries. This had to be probably one of the, at least in my experience with fantasy football and just in football in general, one of the toughest weeks for injuries, especially to the top players that I've seen in a super long time. I mean, does anybody, for me, that's how it feels. It feels the same way for y'all?
And for me, it was like even it was the first half of the 1 o'clock slate, right? And it was just like, I think I was getting ready, getting some food or whatever, just getting set up, getting the fucking command center ready to go. And you look up and it was like in the chats, Saquon. I was like, what? No, word. I looked up and he was playing again. And then it was like that next play, he was done. It was a wrap. Like, I felt like, in that first half of the first games, there was like 3, 4, 5 big fantasy players that went down, and it was just like that for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Every slate of games, and it didn't slow down at all. It stayed consistent all the way through the night.
Yeah, well, Grant, you mentioned Saquon Barkley. Let's start off with that. Saquon Barkley, for those of you who drafted him last year, you were out. He was out for a long time with a high ankle injury. I think he kind of rushed back from that injury last year. He didn't perform, but if you were able to make the playoffs, he performed during the fantasy playoffs. However, This season you can go ahead and drop him. He's out for the season. Tore his ACL. It's very disappointing season for Saquon Barkley. This was his contract season, actually. Last season of his rookie deal. It's sad to see. He is a very talented running back. Grant, who do we get to replace Saquon? But if you're a Saquon Barkley owner, who are you looking to target to replace? There was some news that came out today. So who do you target?
Sure. I think we all know that Saquon, the talent we saw at least 2 years ago now, unfortunately, is irreplaceable. But, I just feel bad for the dude. Like, that was I think he had hyperextended his elbow maybe the play before. And then,
Ugh.
he was out for a couple days. And the next time he got the ball, right, it was that he was getting tackled on the sidelines. But it wasn't like a crazy hit or anything. It's just like his leg came down and got tangled up. And one of those, like, you can see while they're falling that they're like recoiling that leg and trying to protect it. And like, that like the less impact there is when you see those dudes have those reactions, it's like, it's gotta be that ligament shit, right? Especially me, like I tore my ACL, fucking crazy story. Tore my left ACL actually with the Duke alumni softball team, Central Park. We're playing St. Bonaventure. I hit a grounder to the shortstop. Me being the fucking Flash Gordon I am, I'm trying to leg it out, bong, bong, bong. And it was like a play at the bag. And this dude is like, if you played slow pitch softball, like you got the 2 bases at first base, you got the safety base basically to avoid this exact situation. He's standing there covering both bags. And like I step foot between his legs to try to like beat the throw out, get tangled up with him, and it was a wrap.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
But Saquon, immediate replacement, there is none, is the short answer. But the news that you alluded to earlier today, Devonta Freeman looked like he signed with the Giants, official pending his physical and his COVID test. I think they also brought in Dion Lewis in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
That's right. They did.
That scat back, passing back, compliment Saquon, so you got to assume he's going to get a little more work. And, for us that were around last year or the year before, we know Wayne Gallman Jr. is still out there, to vulture some touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't know, maybe they'll bring back Rondane, maybe someone else from fucking Giants lore. But whatever it is, it's not going to be second-round pick worthy. So you're definitely going to need to target someone on the wire.
Yeah, if Devonta Freeman is available in your league, well, one, your league is probably trash because he shouldn't be available. But two,
I saw him on lots of wires. I grabbed him last week by accident, like someone just like because I had an IR spot, so I could stash someone else. I'm like, let me take Freeman.
Yeah, well, if he's there, go grab him now because he is going to. It's not going to take him long to pass Dion Lewis and Wayne Gallman on the depth chart.
Hope not.
That's for damn sure. The other major – Lionel, before we go into the other major injury, Lionel, do you have any thoughts on the Saquon injury?
I just think the impact of it is going to be a lot greater than just Saquon himself as a fantasy player. Like, Daniel Jones is going to be affected. The entire Giants offense is going to be affected. So, like,
great point.
I'm staying away from New York offensive players as much as I can right now.
Yeah, there is honestly probably no one on the Giants I want to really start in fantasy. I know we talked about in the demo episode Darius Slayton. I'm even worried about that. Like, dude, there's just it is a clear stay away.
Right. I'm pretty sure Sterling Shepard also came down with something out that game. I know he was going to get an MRI on his toe. So, like, avoid at all costs dumpster fire.
With that, we're gonna move into the other major injury of the week, and that is, well.
Can you even say it? Do you need me to say it for you?
I think you should talk about this as I'm
right.
Still a little
so
hurt.
Some people I know maybe passed on him with the first pick of the draft last year, and they weren't sure if it was going to be worth it. So we all knew Tiny Bones, CMC,
Praise White
Jesus
Jesus
was coming through as the number 1 overall, 101 this year, undoubtedly, especially in a PPR, right, or any kind of happy.
Yeah, unquestionable number 1 pick.
Right. Terry Dumpoffs was going to be lacing him.
Oh, wait a minute, that's 32 Club. Give my quarterback some respect.
Whoa.
As a Carolina Panthers fan, Brother Tedder, how you feeling about how I feel about Mr. McCaffrey going down?
Well, I was one of the people who I was not an early believer in Christian McCaffrey. I think Brother Watkins and I spoke about my misgivings about using such a high draft pick on And people are going to think that I'm thinking about one thing, and I'm actually just thinking about the fact that he was a Pac-12 running back at Stanford, or is it Pac-10 now? Don't know. They changed so much, but he was a Stanford running back.
How high they pick him?
I think he was, I want to say he was 16.
Keep going. I'll find it for you.
All right. I think he was the first. He was a first round pick. I think he was like the 16th pick. I know we took Kuechly as a top 8 pick, so I was happy about that.
He was 8.
8 as an 8 pick. Numbers are up here. But yeah, CMC. I was an early believer, but he, I love D'Angelo Williams. I thought that he was he really was a workhorse back for us. Him and Jonathan Stewart made one of the best running back tandems in the NFL at one time. And so I probably, and Jonathan Stewart went to Oregon, and I probably should have had more faith in Christian McCaffrey, but also I was also burned by Peyton Hillis in the past. So okay. I'm very wary of flash in the pan running backs. However, he
seen some similarities between Christian and Peyton.
Yeah. So I was a little worried. However, it was soon evident that he was by far the best offensive player we had on the team. However, that doesn't really do much for your fantasy prospects. So Carolina has a very solid replacement in Mike Davis. He is on the waiver wire in many of your leagues. I'm almost guaranteeing that he is on your waiver wire in most leagues.
He's not Mike on the wire in your league. You should come on the pod because we want to talk to you.
Yeah, we definitely want somebody. You are either in a 16-team league or a 3-quarterback league or in some league that's deep benches. He was not really on anyone's radar. Yeah, there was no need. You had Christian McCaffrey. There really is no handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. But Mike Davis saw in the game against Tampa Bay, he caught 8 passes for about 70-something yards. So he is going to get work. They're treating him like a Christian McCaffrey-esque back. I don't think they're going to change the offense at all. They're going to if the offense was built around Christian McCaffrey, it'll still be effectively built around Christian McCaffrey. They'll just plug in Mike Davis into that role. DJ Moore will probably get a few more targets. Robbie Anderson is a must pick up, must start. The guy is just he was 9 for 10 last week for about over 100 yards. He is the number 2 receiver in Carolina. So those are outlets you need to look for. But if you're looking for a direct Carolina placement, if you can get Mike Davis, I think he's worth your number 1 waiver already pick. And I also think that he is worth, if you lost Christian McCaffrey, he's worth half your budget. If you didn't lose Christian McCaffrey, I wouldn't go more than 33% of your budget because he's not going to be long-term. And Christian McCaffrey, he was walking on his own power on the sideline. So he's going to probably confound expectations similar to Saquon Barkley and try to get back out there. The man is Superman. He is White Jesus. He's going to do what it takes to get back on the football field. So those are that's the direct replacements on Carolina. But there are other options out there. However, I was offered a trade in the league. I will put this out here for Christian McCaffrey. Someone offered me Jonathan Taylor for Christian McCaffrey.
Straight up?
Straight up. I said no because I do have faith in Christian McCaffrey. However, Jonathan Taylor is beasting right now. So I thought about it for maybe a minute or two, but I couldn't give up on Christian McCaffrey.
Not a bad offer.
No, it was not a bad offer at all. I was actually quite surprised when I received it. I was like, especially in the Gaddafi league. So
it's not like like offering someone Sammy Watkins for Mike Thomas or something.
That'd be crazy. That would make no sense.
That would be nuts. So, but let me ask you guys: if you had Christian McCaffrey right now, if someone came into a trade offer, what would it take for you to move off Christian McCaffrey, or could anybody make you any offer? I mean, of course, within reason.
Right. My return question immediately is, what's your record right now? Are you 0-2?
You're 0-2.
You're 0-2, and you're offered for Christian McCaffrey. I know you – go ahead, Lionel. You're going to jump in there.
I was just gonna say it would have to be like based on just his reputation and like what he can do. You still have to consider him RB1 top 5 just based on who he is. So you're gonna have to get somebody in that 6 to 10 range at minimum who is looking good, right now. Now I don't know if you want to give that up for Christian McCaffrey, but that's what you want back in return.
Facts. I agree with you.
Yeah, I feel like I want to feel like I would maybe look a little lower down the chart. Like we're talking like top 6 out of like the first week two performers, or like top 6 draft performers. Either way it is, right? Someone's gonna like better than Jonathan Taylor right now and what the situation that they're getting. Like I can't see how you would get a much better offer for someone looking for Christian McCaffrey to stash him for 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
Then someone like Jonathan Taylor, where hopefully Jonathan Taylor was like someone that Jonathan Taylor was going like what, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, a lot of drafts.
About 4th round in a lot of drafts,
So that's kind of surprising, right? I would think like someone that was going more in the middle rounds that like maybe has looked like they're surviving so far, like some combination of the Ingram Dobbins or like maybe even a James Conner situation, like where you're not sure if he's going to keep playing, but he had a nice game 2 after a soft week 1.
I might take James Conner for Christian if I'm 0-2. And I'm
going to say also, the injury situation is mucking everything up, right? Because the only reason Jonathan Taylor's getting this work is because Marlon Mack is hurt,
Right.
Like, everything is just week to week at this point. So it's hard to say, like Leonard Fournette is an example, right? He's not, like, based on injury, but the fact that, like, he was nothing last week and is something this week, right? Like, his value is volatile, and a lot of players are like that right now. So who knows? Hopefully Jonathan Taylor, he seems like he's going to continue down that trend. So I'd probably consider that offer pretty strongly. But again, you never know.
Yeah. No, I can't. For me, part of it was homerism, but also is like I'm not giving up my number 1 overall pick. He could get back before the 4 to 6 week timeline. There's probably going to be some adjustment period before he gets back. But I mean, if I can survive, he's going to be Christian McCaffrey. Michael Thomas, guys, he's still hurt. He's still on the injured list. He's still out multiple weeks. This high ankle sprain. Some people are saying, oh, he looked good when he was on the sidelines. He might be coming back early, but these high ankle sprains usually keep people out multiple weeks. We saw what the New Orleans offense looked like without him. Still, it was pretty bad. Manny Sanders was the ghost of Kwanzaa Pass, 1 for 18 with just 3 targets, including a bad red zone drop. Yeah, it cost you some money out there if you're betting on him. Guys, like. And I know we're going to talk about a Michael Thomas trade later on. So your listeners, if you want to see what the value of Michael Thomas is, you might be able to get away with this in one of your leagues. I would say give it a shot because people might be this down on Michael Thomas.
And one of the things I wanted to comment as far as like the high ankle sprains, since it relates to both of these players, is the fact is like unlike a regular ankle sprain, just so that we can clarify, right? It involves literally higher ligaments within like the leg, like it's like stuff that's actually connected to stuff right below the calf, so all that cutting, all the speed, all the bursts that all these players have, both Michael Thomas and C-Mac, like they probably won't be the same player they rush back. So I always think that coaches try to tend towards the later weeks as opposed to the earlier weeks when it comes to this specific injury.
Definitely. And for me, especially, unfortunately for you, Manny, I'm not trying to slander your Panthers, but given the state of their season, right, is your man's, and this is his first year being Panthers head coach?
Yes, this is Matt Rule's first year of a 7-year contract, so he has a lot of time.
Is he going to be rushing White Jesus back for this season?
White Jesus!
I don't think he'll be rushing him back. But Christian McCaffrey is a very competitive fellow. He, even when he's in a losing season, and he just got paid. So it's not like he can make more money. He might just want to play. I think that he's very competitive. He's going to get back on the field. Is he going to get is he going to put himself at more risk? No. If the Panthers are 0-4 in 2 weeks, then no. I don't see him rushing back. I see him being back on the long end of that 4 to 6 week spectrum, but he is coming back to the field. They're not going to put him on IR. It depends. In 2 weeks, let's revisit it. I'll let you know how we are then.
So y'all aren't Broncos level yet. Y'all aren't there quite yet.
Yeah,
Who just
not
signed
yet.
Blake Bortles, by the way, which is okay.
Okay, that's another one of those. And Kaepernick can't get a job because what? We're digging back into Blake. We're digging back in the Blake Bortles bag, huh? Okay.
Right, crazy. Yo, I know we want to like keep it moving, but real quick, I do think this trade barrier or barometer for Christian McCaffrey is a great topic. I got just looking at who's the top scorers so far. I got 2 or 3 more questions for you, Manny. Just rapid fire. We don't have to do a ton of analysis.
All right, bet.
If someone's offering you Kareem Hunt.
PPR.
I think we do half PPR as our standard scoring for the pod.
All right, half PPR. I'd say no. I'd wait.
Nick Chubb.
Ooh, now we're getting a little bit better here. Nick Chubb is legit. I might say yeah. I probably would say yes.
All right, my last one, Melvin Gordon.
No. Well, no.
I felt that coming the way we just talked about the Broncos, but you're right.
Yeah. All right, bet. Broncos, guys, so both the Broncos and the 49ers had a lot of injuries in there with their players, and a lot of fantasy impact for a number of these players, and probably for a number of your fantasy teams. We'll start off with Cortland Sutton, who is done for the year with a torn ACL. I think the quote from Nine News' Mike Cleese was that his knee was tore up. So he is donezo for the year. He will not be back. You can drop him. That is the Jared Judy show now, and hope you can have pieces of him in some of your leagues. Drew Lock is out for 2 to 6 weeks with an AC joint, and Lionel just mentioned how they went out and picked up Blake Bortles, so we know where the Broncos season is going. Philip Lindsay is still out 2 to 4 weeks with turf toe. Guys, Cortland Sutton, first of all, that was guy that was touted as a 3rd round, 4th round pick in the league in a lot of drafts. He wasn't a guy that he fell in that AJ Brown bucket for me. Not a guy that I wanted a lot of pieces of. I'm gonna
take that a little step further. Nobody give a damn about no Cortland Sutton.
No one. So right, he was in that bucket of wide receivers that you just got if you just missed all wide receivers.
I caught my one share of Cortland Sutton in my work league that I slept through the draft by accident.
So. Guys, on Cortland Sutton, is you drop him. If he was your pick, what do you do? Like, are there any wide receivers you would target on the wire? What are we doing if you're a Cortland Sutton owner?
Pay for Jared Judy.
Jared Judy or bust. I mean, there's options out there on the wire. Like, wide receiver is at least the one place where there's always someone out there. You might have to wait a week or 2 for them to pop, or there's going to be someone that's going to pop in the next couple of weeks, right?
Right.
I know we're probably like the first name that comes to mind for me, but not someone that I personally am like going to rush to get. But will be popular on the wires is Russell Gage. I think had a little game for himself in that Atlanta offense, which apparently they can't stop nobody. So. They're going to be throwing all day. Not like they're giving the ball to Toddler Gurley and his arthritic knees again. You know, like they're trying to minimize him to like he's like the Kawhi Leonard of what is it? Rest management for his knees in game.
Oh no!
So, I mean, if nobody believed in Traquan Smith again in your league and didn't grab them after the Mike Thomas injury, which I've seen happen in some of my leagues because he was like he's burned you before. He looked all right last night on Monday night. You know, I'm hoping that if you did get Cortland Sutton, you weren't to pay. He was like your wide receiver 2, hopefully. and you already scrabbed some guys you got on your bench that you were hoping to pop later in the season, and you're just forced to roll out there with now, right? Like if you grab CeeDee Lamb at the end of the draft, he had a decent week last week. We can see if that keeps going. Maybe they were just playing the Falcons. Who knows?
Yeah, facts. I guess.
Also, I want to qualify that Jerry Jeudy statement and just say that if you go for Jerry Jeudy, nobody really liked Drew Lock as a quarterback. At least I hope nobody did. And now you're on Blake Bortles, who again was at home. He was at the crib.
He was literally with his feet up watching Monday Night Football with us.
Right. Who's homeboy that's the backup, though? It seemed like
Driscoll?
Driscoll, right? It seems like Bortles is coming in to be the new backup, at least.
And Driscoll is a college quarterback who was trash in college, and that does not that's the one thing that definitively translates from college to the NFL. You were trash as a quarterback in college. You will be trash as a quarterback in the NFL.
It does seem like certain trash college quarterbacks seem to make it to the NFL. I wonder what they have in common.
Well, we'll transition into the 49ers players now.
One more pass catcher in Denver, though.
Yeah.
Still black, Noah Fant, 4 for 5, 57 yards and a touchdown last weekend.
Yeah. Noah Fant is someone.
Black, and you need a black tight end, son. Pick him up.
Yeah, grab Noah Fant. He's I think he's a must-add in pretty much all leagues. We're gonna actually talk about another tight end later on in the show, and we'll kind of get into some tight end depth.
It was the weekend for fucking 10 through 20 tight ends. Like
Oh, yeah. They just popped. Pop.
Fucking Higbee. Like, what?
Well, on the 49ers side of the football, guys, it's looking like definitely looking like a hospital ward in here. Raheem Mostert, the starting running back for the team, has what is being described as a mild sprain of the MCL, and he's week to week. But he likely won't play this week. That's the news out of San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, what anything about mild and knee ligament goes together? Like
nothing. That's why I'm thinking that this is more of a very much a week to week thing. If you have Mostert, you need to be looking at some of his potential backups. But guess what? One of his backups is also hurt. Tevin Coleman, knee injury, expected to miss multiple weeks. So if you have to handcuff to Raheem Mostert, guess what? Now you need to handcuff to Tevin Coleman. Jimmy Garoppolo.
He might be out there. Jared McKinnon might be out there for you.
Jared McKinnon may be out there. We're going to talk about Jared McKinnon and how if he is someone that you should be targeting highly, even if you don't have Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman.
Right. But if anything, the Coleman injury evened out that backfield for you, right? And you don't have to pick between Coleman and McKinnon now. Exactly. And we know that with Kyle Shanahan, he will ride the hot hand. He will go with the guy that is being productive. And Jared McKinnon. And a lot of people thought Jared McKinnon was good when he was playing with Minnesota. They paid him, right? They paid him before they brought in Tevin Coleman. And discovered Mostert. Yeah, basically. Jared McKinnon might be someone that we would definitely say you should grab. You should definitely grab if he's out there. Whether you should burn your number one priority on him depends on what you need. If you need a running back, sure. I will say if you're in a league that does the regular waivers, the waiver order just goes up and down based on where you last picked, right? The standard waiver order switching situation. Another strategy move for me though is this type of week, people are going to be grabbing people off the waivers, right? So if you have the number one
first priority,
wait.
Right. No, if you're first priority and you want someone and you just take one person, right? And you take your first person and don't take anyone else, everyone's going to pick behind you. So you're going to move back up and probably into the top 5 of the waiver order. You're not going to lose that much.
That's true. Good. Yeah, that's good. Good strategy tip. Jimmy Garoppolo, he has a bulky ankle right now. He's week to week. And I know that a lot of people don't play IDP leagues, but we all play with a lot of us still play with team defenses. So it does pay to know what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. Nick Bosa is likely donezo. He tore his ACL. Nick Bosa is a centerpiece of that San Francisco 49ers defense. And if that wasn't bad enough, Solomon Thomas, another D lineman, also knee injury. He was carted out. So, guys, San Francisco defense, keep or drop.
Absolutely drop now because both is like that good. Yeah, he's MAGA. Yeah, we gonna shit on him for that. Absolutely. We not letting him slide on that in this podcast. But he's a fantastic football player. He literally changes the game. He's one of those top. He's not Aaron Donald, but he's 2-3 names after that. You know what I'm saying? But I think the biggest impact of this all is the fact that opposing quarterbacks will probably perform a lot better against San Francisco now than they were before. Because again, you just mentioned they lost not one but 2 defensive linemen. So
yeah,
and you don't just rotate in your starting defensive lineman and not lose anything, especially now one's a stud like Bosa.
Facts.
I think for me, I'm a strong believer in the draft defenses second to last in the draft situation. I'm not spending auction money on them in an auction draft. I'm more than happy doing a week-to-week stream with my defense. And because I feel like that's what, from a fantasy perspective, turnover year to year, going into the year, who's going to be a good fantasy defense? I think you might as well be playing roulette, right? So it's really not till that week 3-4 you really realize who those top 3-4 fantasy defenses are going to be anyway. And you could have lucked your way into it with the draft pick or with just picking someone up off the wire in that stance. And I'm okay just rotating through defenses week to week regardless. I'll look 2-3 weeks out when I'm looking for a pickup off the waiver wire. So am I going to need to swap them out again the next week or not? But I have no problem cutting defenses instantly. And one more thing I'm going to say about those Niners parts, you talked about what is a minor knee sprain feel like, or what's it, especially because it's an MCL, right? So going back to my knowledge of the knee after I fucking tore my shit up, quote unquote. Oof. Hashtag Cortland Sutton. The MCL is on the outside, right? That's the one that's on the outer side of both of your knees, right? So it's keeping it in from that side. But the difference between the MCL and the ACL from a injury recovery perspective is blood still flows through where your MCLs are, right? So the blood helps you get recuperated, whatever, all that kind of good stuff. I'm sure that Lionel could tell us more about. But that's the problem why you have to go have that surgery with your ACL. It's really right through the center of your knee, just connected with 2 little, pieces of bone, so that there's no blood flow there. There's no recovery. It doesn't reattach itself. You have to replace it or not have one. The MCLs at least are in a high blood flow area. So it's possible to come back from those relatively quickly. You can tear your MCL and not have surgery. So, I don't know about Mostert and his knees, but
yeah,
it's at least within the realm of possibility that you can come back from that, maybe even quicker than a high ankle sprain, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the other thing that is important when it comes to a sprain is the fact that you don't know the degree of the sprain. I don't think the teams have to release that information, but that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely.
That's true.
Anytime you jam your thumb, it's a sprain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that waiver wire about to be jumping, son. Get in where you fit in.
Club going up.
Yeah. This is the week where you need your dollars right now. There's a lot of – the waiver wire's got a lot of good pickings out there, and it's going to keep going this way. These guys had no preseason.
And also, I think sorry to cut you off, man. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was saying this is the kind of week where a little savvy starts to come in, because this is where you know your league and also know the waiver wire. Because there's gonna be names, there's probably gonna be 3, 4, 5 names that everybody's gonna go after. But there's gonna be that 7, 8 name range of names of players that are gonna produce that people are just not gonna bid on or not gonna use any priority on, who you may want to just target and just kind of get that benefit where other people aren't doing their homework as much as you.
Facts, 100%. All right. It's time to get in some of these games. It would be a travesty not to talk Atlanta at Dallas. That game, I'm still kind of in shock about how that game turned out. But for those of you who didn't see it, you're in for a treat in the show. Final score: Atlanta, 39 points. They won, right? No, Dallas, 40 points. Atlanta led the entire game. We're going to talk about later about a remarkable onside kick. Just I've never seen anything like it. So we're going to definitely break that down for you a little later on. But first, from a fantasy perspective, for the Dallas Cowboys, Night's Watch member Dak Prescott, we'll talk about later in the show, 34 of 47, 450 yards and 1 touchdown, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Ezekiel Feed Me Elliott, 22 for 89 and a touchdown. That guy is still worthy of a top 3 pick in any fantasy draft. CeeDee Lamb was not a lamb in this game. He was not timid. He caught 6 balls out of 9 targets for 106 yards, including a big one at the end of the game, which was after the onside kick. CeeDee Lamb, guys, is he your early favorite for Rookie of the Year? I know this is a fantasy podcast, but is he Rookie of the Year?
No, because of Allaire right now. Like, he's clearly running away with it for offensive Rookie of the Year, right?
Amari Cooper, he tied Lamb with his share of targets. He went 6 for 100, for also 6 of 9 for 100 yards. And Dalton Schultz, with an emergence that only Charlie Brown could have expected, he came up big, 9 of 10 targets for 88 yards and a touchdown. Should Dalton Schultz, should he be picked up in all leagues?
I mean, I'm not rushing to the wire for really any of those folks that were out there that went off this weekend. Really, you know, it seems like a lot of them are touchdown dependent.
Yeah, I agree.
That's 100% true. Like, if you take away the touchdown points from every single one of those tight ends that went off this week, how many points do they really have? Like, because I don't think most of them are like, probably 4 or 5 catches for 50-something yards. That's pretty much how they all kind of go.
Yeah.
In a touchdown.
Yeah.
This is the Falcons.
That's a great lead into.
They got run in week 1.
Right. So looking at the Atlanta side of the ball, you know, Matty Ice, he did go 24 of 36 for 273 yards. He did give you 4 touchdowns. So if you were one of the people who started Matt Ryan, congratulations. Calvin Ridley, 7 of 10 for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. We talked about Calvin Ridley on the demo episode, and I actually made a comparison between him or Juju Smith-Schuster straight up in a trade. Right now, if I was asked to I gave you guys that offer right now again.
Ridley.
Now Lionel is saying Ridley now. Okay. All right. What do you say, Grant?
I mean, I hate changing my reactions this early in the season. I think I would definitely still stay Juju, right? How many touchdowns does Ridley already have this season? 4, 5?
4. Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
Right. You got to still imagine that Julio's going to score a touchdown eventually.
So let me sorry, I didn't cut you out. You finish.
No, I'm just saying touchdown regression, I feel like, is a real thing. I would definitely, like, if you also don't feel comfortable with Calvin Ridley, like, that strike while the iron's hot now, like,
yes,
someone's going to want him in your league.
Sell high.
So my thing about him is the fact that Julio's injury is a nagging hamstring injury. And, like, this is apparently has been going on a while. And, like, hamstring injuries will go away. And so, like, if that thing doesn't go away, it gets worse at some point, which is likely to happen at his position and the way he plays, right? And his injury history, Ridley's the number 1. Like, you know, I'll take that gamble. Based on how he's producing right now, A, and the potential of that, B.
Is he better to own now than Julio?
He is less of a headache to own right now than Julio. I'll give you that.
This season is only confirming my desire to never own Julio in fantasy.
Yeah, you've been a staunch opponent
Right.
of owning Julio Jones, like effectively a fantasy kryptonite.
Right.
Stay away from that guy.
Great football player, terrible fantasy football player.
True, that's 100% the case. Tight end Hayden Hurst is he went 5 of 8, 72 yards, touchdown. He was a tight end sleeper favorite of a lot of people, so I think he's going to walk right into that Austin Hooper role. Russell Gage, 6 of 9. I honestly thought that this guy was just a 1-week wonder, but He went 6 of 9, only got 46 yards, but he did find the end zone. Is he worthy of pickup in all leagues?
All right, so one, I say yes. And two, the reason is because based on the conversation we literally just had, who did we just spend all of our time talking about? Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. And there's this other guy out here who is like, yo, we got to stop that dude. We got to stop that dude. Oh, we forgot about that dude. And Matt Ryan, again, is just like, he's going to chunk that. This is what I mentioned last week in the demo pod. There's a lot of food that he's going to throw out there for these people to eat, and somebody has to eat it. And it's like it's what you expect. Like Muhammad Sanu had 1 year where he was like pretty much like doing that, right? But he's just in the Muhammad Sanu role right now. He probably won't be consistent, but every now and then he'll get you like a nice week. Take a chance, a flyer. You know?
I'm not jumping out the window for him, but there's definitely someone out there that can use him, I'm sure.
All right, guys. Let's stop burying the lead. This onside kick.
So here we go. Dallas needs this without timeouts. Zerline, little squibber. It's got to go 10 yards, and it's close. Zerline may have come through. Who's got it? The Cowboys have it. Do you believe that?
You don't have to wait for it to go 10 yards. You can attack it right there. Somebody could have came in and got it. You're just watching it go. Olamide Zaccheaus could have just covered the ball up. And now you've got all the Dallas players. They're right at 10 yards. As soon as that crosses that white line, look at them all standing there. They're just waiting for it to become a live ball.
The rule goes in the NFL, the ball has to travel 10 yards before.
No, time out. No. All right, I want to break this out. The rule
break it down. Break it down, Lana. Break it down.
NFL. The rule goes in middle school, high school, college, the NFL. All levels of football have the same rule regarding this. I just want to put that out there. All right, continue, sir.
Very true. The ball has to go 10 yards before the kicking team can touch the football. However, as the receiving team, you do not have to wait 10 yards. You can attack the ball at any point. What in the world are the Falcons thinking?
All right, I think this is the way I could like frame this. So like Grant, all right, as someone who played high school football, you understand there's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams.
3 teams.
Now you spend most of the time working on offense and defense because that's what's like mostly important, right? However, you have a special teams portion of practice, right?
I will say I was on all of the special teams because I was not that good, but yes.
See, I was like, we didn't have that many people who played in my school, so I had to play on special teams and on the field, depending on what was happening, right?
I was definitely on kick coverage.
Yeah.
So.
No, exactly, right. So, like, again, and on kick coverage that the ball has to go 10 yards before you touch. Again, one team do the rules, right? One team did not touch the ball before it went 10 yards. Let's put that out there, first of all. But and then on the other side, you were taught, okay, at whatever level you're playing at, this is what has to happen, and this is what you should do in this situation. And you may do it once or twice a week, but they've done it. All of them have done it multiple times in their lives. So it's just wild that they had no idea what to do in that situation.
I was also on the hands team, and the rule for the hands team is you can get the ball, get the ball.
Exactly.
Well, that was Atlanta at Dallas. Guys, anything else of fantasy relevance, anything of note you guys want to pick from this game? It was a shocker.
Tons of fantasy points, but I don't have a fantasy thing to leave us with, but I think to wrap it up, like the stat I saw that came out on Twitter after the game that was the most impressive was the Falcons had 39 points and 0 turnovers in their loss to the Cowboys. Entering Sunday, teams were 440-0 when scoring 39 points with no turnovers since 1933 when turnovers were cracked. Thank you to our friends at Elias.
Yeah, thank you, Elias Sports Bureau.
Record.
Oh boy.
440-0 before Sunday, son.
Oh my God. Are they also I don't know if they're the only team that has lost the Super Bowl after being.
Is there a bigger deficit that anybody's come back from?
I'm pretty sure they own that same record. Yeah.
Oh my God. So in New England at Seattle, Seattle notoriously known for its it's home field advantage, excuse me. However, again, COVID, so not a lot of fans, actually not really any fans. So no really home field advantage, so this was a high scoring affair. On the fantasy perspective, we're going to start with Seattle because I think that, in my opinion, we have an early contender for real life and fantasy MVP. Russell, Hustle Bustle, and Man Muscle Wilson, Mr. Unlimited himself, dazzled us with another magical performance. 21 of 28, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns. He threw a pick, but who cares? Russell Wilson, early fantasy and real life MVP.
Got it. You got to say that. I do want to take a quick second to give a shout out from the pod to Russell Wilson's Wisconsin teammate, James White, who unfortunately, was inactive for the game, learning about the passing away of his father in a car accident right before the game started. Incredibly sad. I heard his mother was also in rough shape, in critical condition, potentially. Hopefully she's recovering, but that was a heavy heart. He definitely, I saw him give a shout out to that after the game too, which is the only reason I know that they played together in college. I'm not the college guy here, but he's also that kind of class guy too. That's what we respect and appreciate about Russ Wilson. That was like the first thing he said. They were like, yo, you went out there, you balled 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, whatever. And he's like, nah, I need to talk about my man, James White, real quick.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, wow. Russ is doing it out there, right? And Sierra pregnant again, she's got another baby on the way, or just upgraded in life, upgraded with wife. Who else would you rather be, son? He's got good hair like me. Winning right now, winning at life.
Yeah. Also in this game, Chris Carson, he got a lot more work. He went 17 for 72 on the ground. He caught 3 of 3 targets for 36 yards and a touchdown. Chris Carson is clearly, at least it looks like early on, being more involved in the passing game. So Chris Carson, is he a top 10 running back the rest of the way? Would you take him over Nick Chubb?
I'm not a Chris Carson fan. After I watch him play, he looks like a classic Jag to me, just another guy. He's also part of my fucking debacle against Archie in the Gaddafi League, catching that over the shoulder, another receiving touchdown for him this year. Has he caught 3 receiving touchdowns in the rest of his life?
He has 3 receiving touchdowns this year.
Everyone that's near Russ is balling out this year, so you can't be mad at that, right?
Right.
I know him as a person. I hope he's a good person, but I'm not buying it, right? He's number 7 in ESPN scoring, at least.
Yes, he is.
With Christian McCaffrey and Mostert both being hurt and above him, but I don't know.
Not top 10 the rest of the way.
It's hard because he has no one's he's not fighting anyone carries there, right?
Yeah, right. So, he is I think he's he got 17 carries this week. Last week he had maybe 6 or 7. My thought that they were just trying to ramp him up because he did just have hip surgery. I think that's kind of what it is. I think they always wanted Chris Carson to be the back. Right. I think that, Carlos Hyde is a quality handcuff. So if you have Chris Carson, get Carlos Hyde. But
do I feel like it's a large drop-off if Chris Carson gets hurt and Carlos Hyde is playing?
Yeah. Not
really. I don't know. I don't think it's a big drop-off. So, he probably is top 10 just the way it's shaken out and with the injuries, but,
You wouldn't – if you have Nick Chubb in the infamous league, if someone offered you him, you wouldn't take him?
Not taking it, no.
Okay. Lionel, how do you feel about Chris Carson?
So my thing with Chris Carson is I make a lot of comparisons between Green Bay and Seattle just because you have fantastic quarterbacks. I still think Aaron Rodgers is fantastic. I think this year he's on a warpath.
Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Weapons, not that great, right? Or relatively. You could say, we have Metcalf now, they're trying to upgrade every now and then. One team a little more than the others, sorry, Green Bay fans. But the one thing they both have that really helps them out a lot, because you can't just sit back in coverage and you have to play to the run, is that running back, Aaron Jones in Green Bay and then Chris Carson in Seattle. And I think that those two players also play very similarly. I just think that Aaron Jones does everything that Chris Carson does a little bit better. And so if I had to pick between those two, I think both of you would pick Aaron Jones as well.
I absolutely would.
And I don't feel like he's as jaggy as Grant feels based on how he expressed it, but I do think that you can put somebody else in there and he can succeed as well if he just does what he's supposed to do, which is kind of like what those guys do.
DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are no scrubs. They are dual studs. Meet Metcalf or
following up on my point earlier, would you take DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett or Green Bay's receivers?
I'll take DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Easy.
Yeah, I didn't even say their names because I knew what the answer was.
Yeah, you don't even need to tell me who they are. Metcalf is very good. 4 of 92, 6 targets, touchdown. Lockett, 7 for 67, touchdown, 8 targets. I think even David Moore got in there. Ryan, what do you think? Anything on these up and coming receivers? Metcalf in his second year at this point. Lockett, I think it's in his 6th year.
I don't know. I think Lockett is Lockett's old essentially at this point, right? So we kind of know who he is and what he does. Metcalf is interesting because Metcalf played at Ole Miss, right? And he was just a giant dude who was a bigger athlete than everybody around him, when he was in college, right? And so the question marks on him in the draft were that he was raw, but again, I'm sure even you guys heard about the way he just dazzled at the draft. Everything measurable about a human being, he was off the charts.
He made what's the coach of the Seattle Seahawks?
Carroll.
Yeah, sure. He made Pete Carroll rip his shirt off.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So that's it. But it's usually looking at a team like the Oakland Raiders, there's many times where that hasn't panned out, where you just go for the measurables, right? Their whole speed strategy, which I think it is going to work this year, hopefully. Let's go Henry Ruggs. But I think he's in a good system. He's with a good coach. Pete Carroll's a great offensive mind. He has a great quarterback. Russ is one of those rah-rah guys, right? He's not afraid to be a rah-rah guy. He's like, this is who I am. Let's go team. That's Russell Wilson. We all know that. Yeah. So I have a lot of high hopes and expectations for Metcalf. And Lockett's just going to be consistent, as I said.
On the New England side of the ball, Cam Newton looked like Cam Newton of old of Panthers Cam Newton. Still love you, Cam. Ball off. Going 30-44. 397 and a touchdown, 1 interception. He rushed 11 times, 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's classic Cam Newton lines, what you're expecting from. The 397 passing yards that's a good bonus that you're getting. Cam is not necessarily known for hitting those big passing marks anymore. He only threw 1 pick. So, guys, Cam Newton, he back in fantasy?
I'm looking at it and I'm wondering as well, is just because because the Seahawks were fucking running the wheels off here. 44 pass attempts for Cam, rushed 11 times. He led the team in rushing yards and rush attempts, right? Is that going to happen a lot? Is Bill Belichick going to be happy with that kind of imbalance in his offense long term? I don't know, but it's definitely the worry that he was done. It has been proven wrong. I think he's going to have a productive season. I'm a Jets fan. I hate the Patriots. So, I want to see him do good. So this is kind of the best for me. He did great. They lost. I'm happy about that. But yeah, man, I'm also looking at it here. I know you guys are going to talk Cam too. I didn't realize that Julian caught 8 balls for 179. Man.
Yeah. Is Edelman back?
You are a monster right there. So at least, you're happy to see that from a fantasy production standpoint, that they seem to have some sort of connection. But, Cam, yes, this type of level of production, not sure.
Yeah.
So my thing about the New England offense is that I think that this is a very unique situation, specifically because of who the offensive coordinator is. McDaniel has the reputation of being like a wonder kid, right? And I think that this is one of those situations with this specific quarterback who's something completely to the like antithesis of what is Bill Belichick, to where I think he's a little like, maybe not completely, but like, giving up the reins to McDaniels a bit and letting McDaniels like do what he does. And so I think as far as like, is the game plan gonna like stick that way and is Bill gonna allow it? I think he is. However, as far as like the thing that stands out to me when it comes to like their offense is rush attempts for Cam. Cause like, he's getting hit.
He's getting hit a lot. He's getting hit a lot. So yeah, it's how durable now is Cam Newton. I mean, it's a rental. He only has like a 1-year contract, so
they don't have to, which I hate, just to like put that on the record, but they don't have to, Which is why I say, and also Cam is a unique weapon, and McDaniels is somebody who, again, is a wonder kid. So who better to like use a unique weapon when you had literally like the most Republican offense of all time.
And Tom Brady wasn't mobile at all. It was very statuesque.
That's what I'm saying.
So he really didn't have much to work with on
right, they were picking themselves up by the bootstraps, like with Tom Brady, the quarterback, right? But yeah, McDaniels is just a new wrench thrown in there, and he could probably take advantage of Cam if you tell a kid like that to just use him up, which is what I think they're gonna do.
Oh, of course. All right. Well, I mean, it's Cam. If you've a lot of time, I think a lot of people probably got Cam kind of late in their draft, so some people may even have drafted him as a backup. Are there any starters that you would start Cam over?
Carson Wentz.
That's the first one I was thinking of.
To follow up on our last week's discussion.
First one I would think of right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm more like, do you go to the level of, after seeing the Monday night performance, right, with no Mike Thomas, do you start in Cam over Drew Brees?
Drew Brees, yeah, I would, 100%.
Right now.
Right now.
So that's the only thing I say when I say that the prisoner of the moment comment I made earlier. With quarterbacks' arms who are old, that's different. Like, because we've seen this time and time and time again.
So anything else on New England, Seattle? Like, I mean, we're going to talk more about Russell and Cam in the Night's Watch.
We didn't talk about at all, period?
What?
New England running backs. What the hell's going on there?
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, that
had 11 carries, the most in the backfield.
There it is.
James White. James White, no joke. James White wasn't there, right? So
he wasn't there, but we all know what Sony Michel is. We all know what Rex Burkhead is. Like that New England, the New England running game has confounded fantasy analysts since the beginning of time. Before, and unless your name was Corey Dillon, you never knew really who.
LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount. Yeah, LeGarrette Blount might have been it. Like it has been confounding people for quite a while. There's nothing that when I draft a New England running back, it is completely by desperation.
Yep. I got fooled by the Rex Burkhead talk a couple years back. I didn't go get him, but I was like, oh, maybe this is a steal. No.
I got burned by Sony Michel.
Yeah. I like Damian Harris. He was another high floor, low ceiling back when he was at Alabama. But I would just say, if you got an IR spot like I think somebody in our league has right now, stash him, see what happens.
The sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realm of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch. For this night, and all the nights to come.
Welcome to the Night's Watch. The swords in the darkness, the mighty shields that guard the football realms of men. Getting an athletic quarterback is important in the NFL. Just happens that a lot of these quarterbacks also happen to be black, One of the highlights of the weekend was the Baltimore-Houston game, where two of the elite members of the Night's Watch, you can say Jon Snow and Lamar Jackson. And unfortunately, in this game, his Samuel Tarley was Deshaun Watson.
I'm gonna have another Jon Snow nominee by the end of this shit, though. Let's hold that back, maybe.
Oh, all right.
In a different way, but continue.
Well, in this game, Lamar Jackson, he had a rather pedestrian game for under Lamar Jackson standards. It was efficient. He only threw the ball 24 times, but he completed 18 of those passes. 75% of those throws were complete. My math could be wrong, but it's very close. 201 and 1 touchdown, 54 rushing yards. You know, you expect a little bit more from Lamar Jackson, but he didn't turn the ball over, and his team did win by double digits. The game was 33-16 in the favor of Baltimore. So he didn't really have to do too much more in that game but protect the football. Deshaun Watson had a pretty slow start. He didn't really have good numbers that game. David Johnson handled most, as we talked about earlier, handled most of the touches in that backfield. He didn't really have a really he had all of the touches in that game. He had a touchdown. He had almost 100 yards, but still, that offense just really couldn't get anything going. Anybody worried about this Houston team or the Houston offense, or are you still starting everybody in that? You still starting David Johnson? You still starting Deshaun Watson? Still rolling everybody out there?
I mean, I thought about David Johnson in some later drafts, but I didn't get him anywhere. I was kind of avoiding it. I wasn't excited to do it, but I was watching for some potential value if he was out there. I did reach for Deshaun Watson in one league just to have one share, where I might have even still been able to take Russ there, and I didn't, and I hate myself for that. So, I mean, you got to roll with him if you got him. Really nobody else in the Texas offense right now am I really excited about, right? Because I know we talked about earlier, Will Fuller, 0 targets, 1 carry for 0 yards, was not hurt to my understanding, right? How is that possible? And they're down like that. So either he's been figured out, or I don't know, maybe he was kissing on Deshaun's girl or something. Something was not right there.
Let me hear you say, that ain't right.
Nobody else who can, I took Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson led me to a Gaddafi title one time. He's kind of a PPR sleeper sometimes too, but nothing. So, I mean, or he was hurt the last game, right?
He's hurt, but.
I mean, I don't want any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got Deshaun, as someone who has Deshaun, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
I think he's talented enough where he'll just find ways to produce. You'll get your points somehow or some way.
Yeah. Also, Baltimore defense is really good. So.
Also true, right? You lose Earl, you get rid of Earl Thomas, and you're still a good defense. That's happened everywhere.
Yeah. There's seems to be a 3-headed monster out in Baltimore now, like Ingram, Dobbins, Edwards. What do y'all make of this backfield?
Who is Edwards? Who is this dude? Where did he come from? Why is he there?
Exactly, right. We're talking about Jags earlier, talking about Chris Carson. This is the prototypical Jags son, Gus Edwards. Just another guy. I assume because Baltimore was ahead at the end of the game, maybe that's why he got some run in those last couple of series or something. But leading the backfield in carries.
Yeah.
73 yards, right? I know we try and be original out here on the pod, but to me, a classic fantasy zombie situation where 1 year, 2 years ago, whatever, was it pre-Mark Ingram or did he get hurt, whatever, and he had a big end of the season. People were all buying in the drafts next year. But.
Yeah. No, it's seems like a situation to avoid. I mean, Mark Ingram was going late in drafts, so it seems like this was the reason why. He was kind of worried about how they were going to start running this offense, and then of course you keep forgetting there's a 4th running back out there, and that's Lamar Jackson. So,
the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in B-More outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson in the flesh. Yes, sir.
Dak Prescott, again, like we said before, in the Atlanta game, he lit up the show. Cam also had a great game against Russ, who 5 touchdowns, 21, 28, 288. Again, another efficient performance. Those guys are amazing. Patrick Mahomes, his team was down, and he had to actually lead them down the field. The Chargers were going to beat them, and he amazing 38, 26 completions, 38 yards, 286 touchdown. He also had 2 touchdowns off of 66 rushing yards. Guys, stellar as well, former MVP of the league. And Kyler Murray, for those people who like Kyler Murray, he's showing that, your investment in him, may also be paying off. 26-38, 286, a touchdown, 66 and another touchdown. I think Patrick Mahomes had 26-47. So I might have got those mixed up. But either way, both those quarterbacks did very, very well. We have, of that list, those 5 quarterbacks I just listed, Dak, Cam, Russ, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, one of them is, in my opinion, as I said earlier, is the fantasy MVP so far, and the MVP. And I said I equated Lamar Jackson to Jon Snow because he's the MVP. But is there anybody here that is in the running for the head of the Night's Watch?
Yeah, I mean, Dakota that's some fucking monster numbers right there, man. So you got to think that he's at least if there's anyone else that's in the running behind Russ, right, it's got to be some combination of Dak and Pat Mahomes, son of former Mets great Patrick Mahomes, relief pitcher. All of those, all of the 5 you just talked, we didn't even talk about Lamar in that, right? Out of those 6, Lamar, Dak, Cam, Russ, Pat, Kyler, whenever you took them in your draft right now, you feel happy, I think. So
Feel good.
I'm
Feel
excited.
very, very good.
Yeah.
So, who this week, in your opinion, we're going to talk about some of the sadder performances. There are some people who, might have latrine duty, get your weight up. You took the oath, you're here for life. We're going to support you, but, you're going to have to pick up your game. But of these people here, who this week, who's the leader of the Night's Watch? I think it has to be Russ.
Russ is the easy pick, I think, just because it just feels like he's got it rolling. When you watch him play, it's not even oh wow, he's playing out of his mind. It's Russ is doing what Russ does. So I'd probably pick him. I think the sleeper of all of these is Mahomes and Lamar are going to cancel out because they're going to be on the field together. Well, not together, but, dueling it out in the same game. I think Kyler Murray, just him having DeAndre Hopkins changed so much for him. You gave that dude that kind of weapon. And because I think he had, a touchdown in the air and 2 touchdowns on the ground last week.
Ground.
Yeah.
Right.
And that dude is – and he also everyone loves to complain about – or I say everyone's big knock on Lamar when it comes to him running is the fact that he gets hit a lot. Lamar doesn't slide. Same knock on Cam. Kyler Murray kind of has that Russ gene in the sense that he doesn't get hit. He slides, he gets out of bounds.
Baseball
so, exactly. Yep, both of them actually. So yeah, I really like the 2 baseball players are the 2 that I would say.
Facts.
No arguments with that.
0. Okay, and some of the lesser performances of members of the Watch. This is not necessarily a lesser performance. Dwayne Haskins, 19 of 33, 233 and a touchdown. That team was down big early for the Washington, former racial slurs, and he, got a lot of that in garbage time. But he did hit McLaurin on a nice deep ball. It was a nice ball. And yeah, he seems like he has talent. He's on a bad team team's just not that good. But, I mean, they did beat the Eagles. Maybe the Eagles aren't that good.
The Eagles.
Sad times. Sad times in the city of brotherly love. Tyrod had, he had a starting job. He got injured. And Justin Herbert has taken that spot. Now, as we said earlier, Tyrod is allegedly. Allegedly, Tyrod is still the starter, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be for long. So, Tyrod, on behalf of the Night's Watch.
What do you want me to do with this?
Wear it. Burn it. Whatever you want. You have Castle Black. My watch is ended.
Is there nobody else's watch has really ended? Everybody else is still in. Everybody else is still in contention. There's a little bit of, like I said, black quarterbacks in the league have been really doing well. I know you guys are in a league where black quarterbacks are highly prized. Is there, what would it take to? What's it going to take to get? What would it take to get one of these quarterbacks in your league?
We're talking about that 10-team Black Power League, right? We already said that there's 6 guys on here that are like fantasy all-stars already from the black quarterbacks. And that's like 6 of the 10-ish black quarterbacks we got running. So I can't see anybody giving them, like, who you're giving them up for unless you got 2, right? Maybe you caught, and that's a 2-quarterback league, so probably not. That's not a good example. I think I do have Cam on my bench somewhere. I do have a Russ Cam on one of my work leagues, I think, right? So I would definitely be entertained in trading Cam if you're going to give me a top tier, a RB2 or a receiver 1 at the bottom of that core, like whatever you need. But in the black power league, especially 2-quarterback league, nobody's coming off any of them, son. Like, it's not happening. Especially Saquon and CMC are done. Like, who else are you giving up for them?
Facts. It's a very good point. Well, yeah, we're gonna keep an eye out on these quarterbacks all year round. Night's Watch. There'll be people. There'll be a new member, a new Jon Snow, effectively, of the Night's Watch every week, or maybe there won't be. Maybe Russ will just hold the title all year round, just be a runaway MVP.
I was about to say, I'm not sure if Tyrod was Jon Snow's son because.
Well, for those who haven't seen at this point, shame on you, the series.
Shame.
Whatever.
Shame.
Watch it. It's good.
Shame.
Yeah, it's good. But spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But yeah. For our game recaps next week, we will be having a Night's Watch special. So bring your lanterns, bring your torches, bring everybody around the wall. Sit around the TV and be entertained.
Make sure you got a full bowl of gruel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Make sure.
Flop it up.
Yeah. Oh. Four elite black quarterbacks facing off in games that are actually good. They're not on shit teams. You got Dallas at Seattle. So you got Dak Prescott coming off one of the probably games of the year at this point.
Monster game.
At Seattle against Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, 5 touchdowns. I mean, something's got to give. We might be
1, 2, 3, 4.
You might have got Sierra pregnant again already, son.
It's true. Might have further good news. And then you're going to have KC at Baltimore. That's like a Monday night game. That's going to be a game where a lot of fantasy outcomes are decided, including my own against my own frat brother, who you'll hear later on in the show in the infamous section, which is Chris, whose team is 2-0 in the league. So, I mean, unless there's anything else for you guys to say, I think we just get to the shenanigans and we talk to our frat brother Chris about the infamous league.
Let's do it.
All right.